My React video, getting the most views out of everything. The one I did of weaponism. So I figured people like my commentary on swordsmanship. So I found this M1 medieval. I'm not too familiar with the rules. So forgive me if I say something and well it wouldn't work within the confines of the rule set of the combat sport. Um So my main expertise is in 15th century armored combat warfare. That's what I've done a lot of research and right now I am doing reconstructions into 11th century armored combat. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it from that context. So this is definitely closer towards the 11th century. So yes, that shield bash absolutely something you want to do. Um you want to when we look at the manuscripts the from that time, they tended to hold their shields closer to their body. I'm not sure why he's kneeing him in the balls when he probably has a codpiece or some kind of armor there. Um, and with the high adrenaline of battle, pain compliance isn't really going to work. That no, what? Pull out your dagger and stick it in the slits. But yeah, I would say he won that one. He just in the time he was bashing in the guy's skull, another guy would have came and stabbed him in the neck with a spear. Let's go back and actually look. So the armor would completely protect from the cuts and blows. So yeah, they're doing it right, and they're using their sword and shield to maneuver themselves into the clothes, controlling the center and going from there. I would like to see him. The only thing I would like to see him do is pull out a dagger and just swiftly end it. Um, that would have been the period thing to do. Knives, I believe in the starting, it's either the 11th or 13th century, uh, began being called mercy. Is mercy opponent swift end, winging their weapons haphazardly without any care for their own safety. I mean, they're not. The weapons are kind of dragging around. They look like they're about to fall at any moment. There's no real stability in their stances. That's kind of disappointing to see. Not sure what they're doing there, but okay. With that act, if this were a battlefield situation, the lines broke down. There's chaos. Your men are running. Everything's gone to shit. All right. So a heavy blow to the head with that axe would do it, but you could also go for the joints to break them to disable the fighter so that you can focus on other enemies. Okay, here's this. And gonna be battle axe. Gonna be interesting. So this looks to be about 14th century. So the armor will should definitely do its job against. Definitely can break bone. A good enough blow in days if you bop the head with a strong enough. But what you really want to do is you want to use these to hook and bind and grapple. And why did he swing for a punch? That's you don't really want to. That's a last resort. That's after you lost the fight. No, 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 no! Grapple, grapple! Come on! Grab his handle. I'm not sure if that's against the rules of this specific uh combat sport, so forgive me. But yeah, grab his handle, grapple with him. Don't turn this into a boxing match. All right, so the guards, I do not like it. They're vertical. Their arms are their hands are exposed. A good blow with a two-handed axe is going to shatter your hands, even with gauntlets. um there needs to be there needs to be an angle to it so it can block pendente blows, so diagonal, as well as easily able to come up to block vertical blows and horizontal blows. This all this does is uh allow you to block horizontal blows and maybe position it for diagonal blows, but a vertical blow is easy to break through this guard. Not sure what they're doing here. He's got the hand, and that's right there. That's right there. If he had the axe and more like the German plow, he would not have. All he had to do was do a twist of the hip, and he would not have gotten hit. Okay, so that didn't look like it was much force. That one did. That would have knocked the wind out of him. Not sure what they're doing there. If you're gonna use the oh yeah, that would have strikes into the leg is the way to go because it's unarmored. You're gonna chop through an artery. The guy in black would have died there. All right. So okay, you see how the guy in black now has he's he's oriented his blade in a diagonal way, so that he can needs to keep it a little bit out of his body so it's useful. And yeah, the guy in red, yep, that's what I was talking about. Keep it like that, not vertical, but angle, because then you can. Oh yeah, ooh yeah, grab his weapon, grab his grapple. And I understand it's gonna be hard because the guy in red is a bigger guy, but the guy in black did it correctly. It was a messy grapple, but it doesn't matter as long as you have your enemy on the ground. All right. They're not really in any stances. That wouldn't have done anything. Yep, hook. That's good. That's good. That was awesome. That was perfect. That's what I would advise. Guy in red. Um, the names of these fighters. That was a good opportunity to pommel strike. I don't know why they keep punching because that's really not going to do much, even with gauntlets. Oh, that was okay. So back there, he left himself very exposed by over swinging. There, guy in black. All he needed to do was step forward, vertical, and a blow to the head right there, and that would have ended it. But he waited a little too long and hooked his thing. But he needs to be more aggressive when he's got the enemy there. Well, the tempo's off, and having a decent stance and footwork is going to help these two a lot because they're very upright. They're not in any. They're not really in any what I would call stable position. And that's working. I would use the butt end of the axe. That's going to generate a lot more force than getting hit in the knee. I assume that this guy's the one that's fighting. Ooh, he's from Arizona too. Anyway, Mr. Simon, I don't mean to come off as um rude or knocking you or because I don't know what combat sport is and the rules that you have to abide by, but both of you did pretty well. I mean, obviously there are improvements that can be made, but all in all, it's all about having fun. And I think that this was a really cool experience because with such heavy armor, you can afford to use blunted steel weapons with a lot more force than the combat sport that I do in the SCA. We're a lot lighter, dude. Um, in rapier weapons. Okay, here's another video I found of I think it's a different rule set. Um, not sure what they're but seems to be a melee kind. And the first thing I notice is formations are your friend. There needs to be a strategic positioning of each of your units between your sword and shieldmen and your two-handers, and you guys need to work more cohesively. Looks a lot more like a brawl than a proper skirmish. Though I am liking the use of grappling, but stability. No one's really in a deeper stance, aligning their spine vertically. Something that you're taught if you do judo or another grappling art, and that's why they're stumbling. And while it may feel super cool, it doesn't look very authentic. Oh, I just gotta say this. Woo! Whoever you are wearing the Eisenhut, you are the man. Because well, that's my favorite helmet type, and I do not know where to get one. uh, for SCA, that would be legal for SCA cut and thrust. Is that a green englaive? Okay, so the weapons that are allowed here are sick. That I am impressed with. I would totally love to be able to use these. Like, that's I don't know what's with the flying kick. That's probably not the best idea. Do anything. The little mace. The whole point of those little maces is you're in formation, and you have very little room to maneuver, and that's just to like go quick and bop into the joints and like maybe break a shoulder or something to disable your opponent, making the rest of the team easier to defeat. But yeah. Oh my god. Okay, that was pretty cool. The ones where they're just running and tackling, I just can't take it seriously. It wouldn't happen. Like that one. Why would you do that? Take your own self out with someone else so that you're not doing anything for your team. Okay, this uh, I don't know. I don't. This is just chaos. Very fun chaos. It looks like, but it's just chaotic. There doesn't feel like there's any like strategy or tactics behind what they're doing, and I'm not sure how score is calculated, considering the fact that they just continue to beat on each other until they fall over. Which is, I mean, technically period, but see the problem with reenacting battles is the okay the thing with battles. This applies to both the early Middle Ages as well as the late Middle Ages. Is the goal is not necessarily to kill your opponent. The goal is to deny them the ability to continue fighting. And that includes tactics and maneuvering. Okay, such as I don't even know what's going on there. So, are you surrounded? Are you using area denial weapons, arrows, and even though armor could stop arrows, the goal of that was to go through shields. I mean, same thing with throwing weapons. To to It goes back to denying your opponent the ability to continue fighting. It's creating stress, wearing down their armor, so when a melee engagement does happen, they're worse for wear. That's why they employed cavalry charges, because it was a shock. I mean, if you've ever seen, a Clydesdale, now imagine, 800 of those with full plate, knight, or even like, Hauberk's Battle of Hastings Norman style, all riding thigh to thigh, charging at you, and that they're so powerful that the ground begins to shake. if you're just some Joe Schmo, Levy trained for 6 to 12 weeks, to go on campaign, that's gonna shake you to its core, and that's a thing that is very hard to emulate in battle reenactment and things like this. That's something that, I mean, really can only be emulated in video games, which is why like the Crusade game we're developing focuses so much on morale and breaking the opponent as opposed to killing. Edmund, I like him. Very nice person. The left. Okay, so this is not real fighting. I'm gonna get crucified for saying this, but it's not historical. It's a game. You're using rattan, which operates very differently from steel, and the rules of the game uh lend to different strategies that would not have been a part of historical combat. For example, the hand is not a valid target, so you can use your cup hilt to block an attack that would have otherwise shattered your hand and continue the fighting. Now, this is a hell of fun, and I don't give anyone crap for heavy fighting. It's fun, but the reality of the situation is it's not his. And hell, I cross train. Anyway, uh, but yeah, and shields. Okay, so because you don't want to break someone's super fancy shield, they're infinite. They so you can continue to beat and beat on a shield over and over and over again, until just infinitely, which would not happen in a real battle situation. Another thing is they're not doing this here, but we find one they do. Okay, all right, here we go. So it's the Monty Python. And we have that in Rapier, cut and thrust. Well, less cut and thrust, but Rapier. I mean, it's silly, but it's part of our game, and we make do with it because that's the organization we're a part of. So yeah, this is just as ridiculous as some of the earlier stuff did. Most people, can agree to. You lose an arm, you have to put an arm behind your back. If you leg, you have to go on your knee. And um, there's calibration is a thing. So you have to hit with enough force that it would penetrate armor. Which, if you know anything about actual historical armor, it's exceedingly hard to penetrate. Kind of a dumb mechanic, if that makes sense. In its base cultural. So the mid realm has a impact, a force that you apply to it that's different than like the East Kingdom or Aethelmark. They all have their own acceptable force that you can put into a blow, and that's as we know not how it works because mail did its job. It also depends on the weapon. A strong hewing cut against chainmail with a let's say an 11th century Norman sword is not going to do nearly as much damage as a spear thrusting into the mail with a driving force. So that's my reaction to that. Heavy fighting. Now we're gonna go in. I do. And I don't really have any good footage of me doing rapier. I have photos, but it's hard to get on the field. But rapier is a lot. It's different. You can fight it historically, and most of the people who are good at it do study uh Italian or German. They're Barazzo, Capoferro, Gigante are the three common. Here's a melee, which is it's just as ridiculous. Everyone stands in a line and pokes at each other. But we're getting closer to what an actual what actual period warfare looked like. This not so much. And in the Middle Kingdom, which is what I'm in, we just legalized spears for you. So that's going to change the dynamic. Not that's a criticism. They value safety to such an extent that they can slow progress by a lot and get outcompeted by other organizations, HEMA. But there's really no HEMA group in Fort Wayne. But I also enjoy the social aspect of it, the research aspect. I'm also part of the arts and sciences, reconstruct illuminated manuscripts as well as the old masters painting. I've done a lot of work in deconstructing the works of Albrecht and the Northern Renaissance in particular. So yeah, that's what I do. But critiques, here and there. But notice how people are in measure a lot more often than not. And this is assuming that they're completely unarmored. Being armored does change the fighting a lot. I play it my pride and joy. I like to do stock, my favorite. And I also do Fiore. And something that's different with SCA um and HEMA is controlled blows. So we don't do full contact. So technique is culturally in our culture a lot more prized than some HEMA tournaments where the goal is just to get a point, and they're not really simulating keeping yourself alive, and you can get pretty sloppy. I think that that's one strength that the SCA has is the value of control of your weapon and technique. Um, it, especially because we're simulating unarmored. They're a lot more in measure. They finding the footwork a lot better. I mean, they're stabilized. So if this did go into the grapple, they wouldn't fall over clumsily like in some of the other videos.